and Patrick Van Straten has just made it in time. You will be glad to hear. Today we've partnered up with Colossus Bets to do their Pick 15 challenge. Basically, us boys in the office have picked 15 results and predicted the best of them for the chance to win £800,000. You guys at home can get involved as well from as little as 20p
Chump change.
to win a chance at a share of that £800,000. All you got to do is click the link in the description below. Believe me, it's definitely worth it. It will be a lot of fun. Anything we win, we're going to give to charity. Anything you win, you get to keep. We also have the Tommy Gun brothers sat over in the corner. Social Guns. What's happening?
Twins. Yes, me and Adam Templeman, the Tommy brothers, Tommy 1, Tommy 2, will be asking your questions to the guys, so make sure you get them in the comments now. But Mr. Adam Templeman, what is our first question?
First question comes from Mohammed, who says, when Zlatan reaches full fitness, will Jose Mourinho play with 2 strikers? What do we think?
Ooh, shall I take this, gentlemen?
Yeah, I think you should.
Fan? I think that Jose will play both Zlatan and Lukaku in the same team, but I don't think they'll be as 2 strikers. I think Zlatan will be very much a number 10. Listening to Jose in the pre-match press conference yesterday, he was definitely hinting that Zlatan will play as a 10 just off Lukaku as the season goes on. Obviously, he's not going to play tonight. He's on the bench, but what a combination that would be. The one worry for me is, what does he mean for Mkhitaryan and what does it mean for Martial and Rashford? Because one of them's going to have to miss out.
I mean, you've only just got to see the likes of Martial, Rashford and Lukaku start together in recent weeks, haven't you?
We have.
And that's a daunting enough prospect. So, do you bring Zlatan at the compromise of those 3 starting together?
I think, in my dream world, this is probably Fantasy Island, but I would start Zlatan as a 10, Martial on the left, Rashford on the right, and Lukaku up top with Pogba and Matic in the midfield. I'm well aware that is super attacking. However, I don't know, I just think that United could blow teams out of the water with that formation. I think Matic does so much defensive work that it could well work. What do you think, Patty?
I think it would restrict Pogba too much. Like, I think what Pogba's outstanding at is moving through the midfield and creating chances in the final third. Like, there's almost no central midfielder in the world who does it as well as he does. And also, I think that if you can play Pogba in a midfield 3, for instance, and you can get Martial, Rashford and Lukaku on the pitch, then you're actually building something for the future. Now, Ibrahimovic is a great player, but realistically, you're not going to win the title this season. And I'm not sure that it's necessarily setting a precedent for the sort of team you want to be going forward. I think that you should be building... If you're going to go to 4-2-3-1, that's fine. But I'm not sure that you should do it purely to play Zlatan. That doesn't seem like the long-sighted option.
And we have spoke about in previous weeks how he brings the best out of players like Mkhitaryan.
Yes,
Paul
true.
Pogba. And if you sack off the 4-3-3 and play the 4-2-3-1, then where is he going to play in that system?
Yeah, I'm not too sure where he's going to play. It's definitely a headache for Jose, but it's a good headache to have, right? It's a great headache to have if you're the manager. I would go for the 4-2-3-1 with Zlatan at 10. Very attacking. What would you go for at home? Let us know in the comments below. Let's get the next question from Social Corner.
Yes, this one comes from David Kemple on Twitter, and he asks, what are your opinions of the UEFA Team of the Century that was released this week? Casillas in goal, Lahm, Puyol, Piqué, Ramos defence, Iniesta, Xavi, Gerrard, Henry, Messi, Ronaldo. No Zidane.
Which Ronaldo is it? Do we know?
Cristiano.
Oh,
Yeah. Real Madrid's all-time top goal scorer.
It is
probably a good indication.
What was the front 3 again? Give me the front 3 again.
Henry, Messi, CR7.
They've gone 4-3-3.
I mean, that's pretty damn good.
That's pretty tasty.
And they're playing presumably either Puyol or Ramos as a right back and Lahm as a left back.
Ramos is a right
Ramos
back.
is right back.
Yeah, right. So Ramos is a right back. I really like it. I've got a problem with Steven Gerrard in central midfield. I've got a huge problem with Steven Gerrard.
It's not a team. I'm sorry, it's not a team. This is my issue. Whenever people come up with these like kind of dream teams, they're never an actual team that could play in a real match. Like, there's no defender in that midfield 3. And like, I think if you're gonna make a dream team, like, at least make it a team that can actually play football. Like, put Busquets in there, put Xavi Alonso in there.
But that takes the fun out of it, Pato.
It doesn't take the fun out of it.
It's just a bit of light-hearted.
I think it gives a shout out to the players who deserve it.
I mean, it's hard to disagree
Gerrard.
with some of those players. Gerrard,
Iniesta.
I mean, he had
Zidane.
one phenomenal season, didn't he, when he was playing out on the right under Rafa Benitez. Got, what, 26 league goals. But barring that, I'm not sure his inclusion is warranted. Iniesta and Xavi are pretty hard to dispute.
Does Zidane not count for this team? Why does Zidane not
I
count?
think Iniesta's a fraction of the player that Zidane was. I really do.
But why does Zidane
I don't even
not
think
count?
that's an insult to Iniesta. I mean, Zidane was amazing. What about Totti as well?
A bit of a push.
No, I mean, Iniesta, I'd be amazed if he was half the player. Like, I mean, Iniesta, oh God. There are so many good players who could be in this team, like Nedved,
really
Totti, who's one of the most talented players I've ever seen.
But it's probably to Totti's detriment that he was so good at a number of roles, right? Like he had a couple of great seasons
Rooney,
as a classic number 9, and then he did the whole false number 9 thing, and he played as number 10. So he wasn't probably the best in any one given position.
Yeah, but I think I'd be more inclined to put someone like Makelele or Vieira or Keane or somebody in over Gerrard.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think Gerrard's the best box-to-box
Pirlo in there
midfielder of
as
the
well?
last 20 years. Yeah, but you can understand, look, Xavi or Pirlo, you can only have one.
Go for
Xavi's
Xavi.
fair enough.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But what about Piqué, centre-back?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either.
That's extremely
and
generous.
And Ramos at right. I think Piqué, by the end of his career, will have amassed enough things to warrant something like that. But he's only 30, right? He's probably got, defensively, he's probably got some, he's not his best years ahead of him necessarily, but some very good years ahead of him. Are we only counting players from... what time period does this cover?
I don't know, the century. It's a bit confusing.
I think
Because
I
does it
presume
go
it's
from
been their best since
21st?
2000. You'd assume.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
imagine
Because
so.
otherwise Maldini's in this 11.
I mean, a lot of Italians spring to mind. A lot of that AC Milan team spring to mind. So,
Ashley Cole, man.
Ashley Cole, not a bad shout.
and then move Lahm to right back.
I think so. I mean, is that am I crazy in saying Ashley Cole's the best left back of the 21st century so far?
No, I think I'd agree with you. I'd maybe potentially
And
drop...
Dani Alves deserves a place, arguably.
Yeah, I'd drop
Marcelo
Piqué.
maybe. Marcelo.
Yeah, Marcelo,
Yeah.
actually. That's a really good shout.
Barring the last 6 months, he's been phenomenal for 7 or 8 years now.
It is very competitive. Again, what do you guys think? Who would be in your European team of the century? It is extremely, extremely hard. Let's go back to Tommy Corner. What is going over there?
Tommy Corner, yep. Don't forget to sign up to the syndicate. The link is in the description below. And our next question comes from Soku, who says, is this the best Napoli side we've ever seen? And is Juventus finally coming to the end of its reign?
Oh, that's well harsh.
I mean, the side with Maradona actually won the Scudetto, didn't it? So, in terms of...
I think I was the only one here alive, though, when that happened.
In terms of the most talented... No, was it 94?
I mean, they won it in 89, I think, or 90, and then I think they won it again in like 92, maybe, 93.
Yeah, we'd have just scraped.
Maybe it was 94. You might have gotten it under the radar.
We'd have just scraped it then, mate. But, I mean, the interim period, I'm not too knowledgeable on. Obviously, they had the Hamšiks, they had the Cavani's, didn't they? Higuain. They've always had a sort of talismanic forward player or forward front line. Yeah. But in terms of position by position, they have a very good starting 11, don't they? This is the strongest across the board Napoli side that I've seen
for sure.
Since I've paid interest in this area.
I think it is harsh though to say that Juve are in serious decline. Like, is this the end of Juventus? I really don't think it's the end of Juventus. They're so large now. They're such a big team that it almost feels like they're in a little bit of a Bayern Munich situation where it's going to be very hard to topple them ever because they are the biggest in Italy.
Yeah. I mean, is this just because they lost to Sampdoria?
They haven't been great so far this season, I don't think. And they've obviously got this difficult transition coming up, right? Moving out a bunch of old players and kind of moving through a bunch of young ones, though the young ones look absolutely sensational. Yeah. In the case of Rugani, Dybala, Betancourt, like these are really, really good players. But I think that, I don't know, this is definitely the best coach that Napoli have had in a long, long time. Like, this is the first time they could claim to have one of the best coaches in the world, I think. I don't know. The thing is, if Napoli win the title this season, next season, somebody says to us, who's the favourite for the Scudetto, we're probably all still going to say Juventus.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
I mean...
And they also have that ability, Juventus, in a similar way, like I was said about Bayern Munich, to select smaller teams' best players and just go, yeah, you're coming to Juventus. Yeah. I'm still not sure if Napoli have that.
Although, yeah, they've had their sort of pick of the domestic bunch, haven't they?
Yeah, the top tier
for
talent.
want of a better phrase. But you're hoping that with the re-emergence of Inter Milan and the fact that AC is spending big, that the playing field will level out at the top of Serie A. This is certainly one of the most exciting Serie A seasons.
100%.
The start to a Serie A season there's been in the last 10 years. I mean, look at the form that even Lazio were in. Simone Inzaghi's doing a tremendous job there, and if they can finish with Champions League football, then one or even two of the big sides miss out, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. Right, let's go back to Social Corner then. What's the next question?
This one comes from Hanschel, and he says, PVS, you linked Keita's poor discipline at Leipzig to him being forced to do it all in midfield. Now, considering Liverpool's midfield, will he be suffering the same fate there?
You've been called out, PVS.
Look, I kind of see his point. Like, if I were Liverpool, I would also look for like a sitting distributor kind of DM type. Like, Naby Keita has huge defensive output, but you don't want him just sitting deep as a defensive midfielder. You want him being able to play box to box. He's so good in transition. He's so good in the final third. Scored again last night, of course, for RB Leipzig.
Yeah. Did you watch the game? I saw the highlights. Kevin Campbell was also very good in that game.
Or his interception that led to, I can't remember, maybe it was the Werner goal, was absolutely nuts. Like they're really good when they play like that, and in that sense, you imagine the transition will be quite good. But yeah, if I were Liverpool, you've either got to decide that you're going to play Jordan Henderson purely as a sitting central midfielder, where I think he's okay. Or I think you go out and you really try and get somebody who can distribute and do the defensive work from deep. Yeah. So that Naby Keita has that freedom. And you'd have thought, if they're going to go all out for the title, that's the sensible thing to do.
Yeah, because at the moment, to me anyway, it seems like they've got a lot of very similar players in Henderson, Wijnaldum and Chan. And I don't think any of them are necessarily that deep, natural anyway, deep-lying midfielder.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, it looks like they'll be losing Emre Can to Juventus next summer. And Jurgen Klopp has said a couple of times now that he sees Coutinho's future as a deep playmaker. So maybe he can solve that problem with Coutinho if Coutinho stays, but that is looking less and less likely the more and more sort of Liverpool slip up in the Premier League, isn't it? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Jurgen Klopp sort of fixes a couple of emerging holes.
Indeed it will be. Make sure you sign up to the Colossus bets below as well. It's in the link in the description below. Got that out eventually. Right. What are those jumpers doing?
They're still here. They
still are there.
Unfortunately. Lee Peters is looking forward to the weekend by the sounds of it. He wants to know what's going to happen between Liverpool and Chelsea. What are your predictions?
I want to know what you two are doing at the weekend.
What are we
You're
doing
going to
at the
meet up in
weekend?
those jumpers. You're going shopping together.
Mate, we
Buy
planned
another
this. This is all an
We
idea.
brought this together.
Look at this. We went shopping together.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question, mate?
Liverpool versus Chelsea at the weekend. What is your prediction?
Ooh.
I've just noticed you're wearing the same shoes as
Yeah,
well.
Everything. It's everything.
Off camera, but,
This is really embarrassing, guys.
Well, I
Is it
think
at
we've,
Anfield?
I think we've all predicted a Chelsea win, haven't we?
Yeah, I've definitely gone for a Chelsea win.
I don't recall what I predicted.
You've gone for a Chelsea win as well.
Mate,
of course.
Liverpool,
All
not
part of
great.
the same syndicate. We've gone for a Chelsea win, I can assure you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we
it
have.
will be a very interesting game. Chelsea, very Italian when they go ahead. Liverpool, very un-Italian
Yeah.
in that they can't defend a lead, but they score plenty of goals. So it's a clash of two different ethoses, isn't it? At the minute, post that Man United result with Chelsea and the way they managed that big game, I think it favours them.
I do as
the
well.
momentum. Liverpool, again, questions will be asked of their back four, especially from set pieces. Sevilla scored 2 set pieces, didn't they, midweek in the Champions League? And Chelsea have a very big physical side, out-muscling the likes of West Brom, which is no mean feat. I think even Ghazi was struggling with Morata. He's an animal.
I just think the timing of this game is not great for Liverpool. They've got a really tough month coming up, and that Sevilla result, they needed that Sevilla result to buoy them, I think, a lot. And the fact that they conceded 3 in the second half would have been a real dagger to the heart. It would have really killed
Good result
the
against
motivation.
Southampton, but that's taken the sting out of that.
Yeah,
hasn't it,
really will have killed some of the
Sevilla.
momentum there. And the form of Eden Hazard is probably one of the most on-form players in the league right now. He can tear teams apart single-handedly in a similar way to Mo Salah, of course. Mo Salah's been doing it as well. But I just think there's something about Chelsea at the moment in those big games. Conte just grinds them out.
Yeah, I mean, they were fantastic at Wembley against Spurs,
Yeah.
like in that 2-1 victory, like comfortably the better side. And I think Spurs are quite a bit better than Liverpool. Unless Liverpool get an early goal, I think that Chelsea, it will probably go the way Chelsea want it to go, which means it will be pretty tight, not a lot of goal-scoring chances, and maybe Chelsea nick one on the break. Like I don't know. Liverpool at the moment, they're kind of like they're like a dream of an Arsene Wenger side, you know, from like kind of 2008. They're absolutely incredible going forward. They're like Napoli going forward, and then they're like Arsenal in defence. You know, they can't do anything.
Well, not of late, mate.
Well, yeah,
That
but you know
second
what I mean.
half against Tottenham, you're absolutely outstanding. You
Yeah,
don't
true.
Sniff.
True, but I mean, you replace Koscielny with Lovren and you start to see the cracks appear.
Well, yeah. I mean, Morata must be licking his lips at the prospect of Lovren and Matip centre-back partnership from those corners.
I'm so delighted that Morata's doing well, by the way. Like, before the season
Yes.
started, we said how good a signing he was going to be. People said he's never scored 20 goals in a season, despite the fact that there's a point in every 20-goal a season striker's career when they have not yet scored 20 goals in a season.
Well,
this season will be that for
He
Morata.
was pretty harshly adjudged to have been sort of losing form or losing his way after, what was it, 6 goals without a game? 6 games without a goal.
6 games.
6 goals without a game would
That'd
be
be
absolutely
quite impressive the
incredible.
other way around, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm delighted for him.
Equally, Romelu Lukaku
Handsome
has
as well.
gone. Romelu Lukaku has gone like 8 or 9 games before, hasn't he, without getting a single one. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. We might have some technical issues, by the way, so bear with us. Let's go over to social corner.
We apologise for the technical issues. But firstly, if you think Chelsea are going to win, make sure you head down to our description and click the link and join our syndicate. But first, this question comes from CFC Boy.
Before you go there, mate,
Oh, God.
what do you think the score's going to be?
Oh,
You're a Chelsea fan.
the one
Confident?
problem with Chelsea, I feel, though, is that Liverpool are kind of our bogey team, along with West Brom.
Yeah.
But we did beat West Brom 4-0. So what I'm saying is I think we're going to beat Liverpool 4-0. I actually think honestly, I think Morata is going to score a hat-trick, Hazard get a goal, and we'll say William pops one in, just for me
I
to get some
disagree.
fantasy points.
I
But
found-
anyway,
You're mad.
we head to the question, and funnily enough, it comes from CFC Boy 786. Temps, first, before I ask them, what are your opinions on the FDFC team
The FDSC team.
after the pre-season just gone?
Well, we just found out how good Luca really is.
Oh my! If you have not watched the Football Manager match yet, check it
Yes.
out. The free kick is disgusting.
It is unbelievable. But yeah, he's very good. I think we've got a lot of defensive problems. We have not got a backup defence, have we? We have a starting lineup defence. I don't think we have any defenders coming.
Well, at the moment we've got Dorman at left back, Joe and Sav at centre
Which
back,
is fine.
and right back is still an issue.
Yeah.
So if you're a decent right back, send some applications to our email. But anyway, we go to the question, and hopefully it's working. Yes. All right. Temps, what did you actually think of the Football Manager match, though? Well, how do you think that went? Considering we EFD beat FD 5-3.
What do you mean we? We're all the same.
Well, come on.
We're all the same. But yeah, no, it was a close match to be fair in the second half. But yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. Just go and watch it. It will be in.
How'd you handle the 90 minutes though? How'd you handle the 90
I
minutes?
didn't handle the 90 minutes. I did about 20 minutes. tops.
Okay, but to you guys, I'll repeat the question again. What are your opinions on the FDFC team after pre-season? I'm sorry about the shambles.
Yeah, we have had a bit of a technical glitch there. Really do apologise for that.
Happens,
But
it
nevertheless, let's crack on. This is YouTube. It's not television. We are here to talk about football. So let's talk about it. What was the question again? Because I've forgotten it.
FDFC. How do we feel about
I'm
the
just
team?
thinking about who's playing right back now.
Yeah, that's a concern on my mind as well. I don't know who's going to play right back.
Doogie, I think.
Doogie
He's got an
Critchley
engine.
has potential.
He's like an all-round sportsman in the classical sense. Doogie could play cricket. So he's a consummate professional.
He looks like he should be wearing
amateur.
cricket whites at all times.
Yeah. It looks like he makes a mean cricket too. Apart from that, I think out of the 30 players we've got, we could probably bring together a half-decent 11.
Yes.
Let's move on to some actual footballing questions.
Yeah, let's move on to some actual footballing questions then. And this one, Zach, looking at you, mate, filling with your Tommy Jeans jumper. What is the next question?
Well, it is. A few people have asked us actually. Valencia v Barcelona. It's happening on the weekend. How do you see the game going?
Oh, the two in-form sides in Spain then. I think Valencia are unbeaten and 8, second in the league on 30 points. And Barcelona in imperious form on 34 points at the summit of La Liga. We discussed them a little bit on the ERU, didn't we? Both teams in an insane vein of form. I personally can't wait for this one. Marcelino is put out a great defence. They've made some great signings in Kondogbia. Guedes is on form, isn't he? But Barcelona, even Suarez is firing now, and he was like the only player lagging behind them, wasn't he?
I'm going to take the opposite stance. I actually don't think either team is as good as they currently look. I think, don't get me wrong, they're obviously good, but I think when you look at the kind of expected goals and stuff for Barcelona, I don't think that they're as good as they don't look like a team that should only drop 2 points after out of like 36 or whatever. That's mental. And Valencia as well. If you've seen the Espanyol Valencia highlights, then you'll feel really sorry for Quique Sanchez Flores, because they were all over them. They frankly should have had the game wrapped up in the first half. Didn't manage to score, had dangerous break after dangerous break, and then eventually Valencia just got one. And after that, it was all Valencia. It was easy for them going into the end of the game. And it was basically because Kondogbia put an absolute screamer in from outside the box. I love Valencia to do well. They are at the Mestalla, and the Mestalla is a difficult place to go, even when Valencia aren't in good form. So I hope they get something out of it. But to be honest, individual quality will probably show, and it'll probably be a Barcelona win.
Yeah, I'm going for a Barcelona win. Really solid at the back, Barcelona, this season as well. Ter Stegen, we had a little bit of a debate on Twitter the other day about how
Semedo as well.
Ter Stegen fares amongst the best goalkeepers in the world. And a lot of Barcelona fans saying that he is the best in the world right now. And it wasn't until I went and saw some of the highlights and checked some of his statistics that I realised he's really stepped up a gear this season. Barcelona conceded 4 goals so far in La Liga. That's an incredible feat. We talk about some of the Premier League's defences. Barcelona's has been unbelievable this year.
And this is a goalkeeper last year who was criticised for taking risks.
Yes.
Risks. Similar, he's a goalkeeper cut from the Pep Guardiola cloth, isn't he? But what I would say to your point is that Barcelona didn't fix their obvious problems in the summer, so I'm inclined to give them all the credit that is being sent their way, because there were such obvious flaws, and they just kind of papered over the cracks with Paulinho, didn't they? But Valverde's getting the best out of players like Denis Suarez, Lucas Digne is rotating really well. They're chipping in with goals. Deulofeu's coming into the side. So this isn't a good This isn't the best Barcelona team we've seen. It's a good one, but not one that, as you say, should necessarily have racked up 34 points. But I will not use that as a stick to beat them with, because how they've got there with that pool of players is makes it even more impressive in my opinion. Yeah,
100%. We've gone for a Barcelona win on the Syndicate. If you agree with us, click the link in the description below for your chance to win a share of £800,000. I can't say that enough. It's a massive amount of money, life-changing amount of money. Let's get the next question anyway, gentlemen.
The next question comes from TommyBoy99, who has asked us the title question. What are the chances? Manchester City are being linked with a move for Riyad Mahrez in January, but will this break the January transfer record? Keep in mind at the moment, their record is 65 million Oscar from Chelsea. So
I don't think there's any chance this beats him. Don't know whether it's more coincidental he's asked the title question or his name's Tommy, and you two are both wearing Tommy.
I smell a rat.
Yeah, I smell a rat too. I'm going to go for... I don't think there's any chance that he moves to Man City in January. And I definitely don't think it's anywhere near the figure of £65 million.
I mean, I wish we could put this in the Syndicate, because we'd definitely be on to a winner here, wouldn't we? Why would they buy him with the array of wide talent they've currently got on the bench? I mean, they were rotating Leroy Sané at the start of the season. Bernardo Silva can't get a game. Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus have to drop out every now and then. Aguero didn't start the last Premier League match, did he? I think Pep would see him. I think Pep admires him as a player. I think Pep sees someone like similar to Nolito last season. He probably sees Riyad Mahrez and he thinks, there's a player who would make my bench stronger, or I could use to a degree. He's got certain qualities that I like. He's elusive. He started to work hard, particularly this season, and he can make something happen out of nothing. But it's just an absolute non-starter for me, Van Straan.
I don't think any of the top teams in the Premier League would go for him. I mean, the only team who could really do with him are Arsenal, because they're going to lose Alexis and Ozil. And I don't know why they go and spend 50, 60 million on Riyad Mahrez when they could go for someone like Nabil Fekir or whatever, who I think is overall a better player.
You want Goretzka, right, as well?
Well, Goretzka's Goretzka's more of a centre mid, but Max Meyer, of course, his teammate, is out of contract next summer as well. So yeah, I mean, there are players to be had who are as good or better and would cost less. And plus, there's no way Leicester would sell him in January. I think Leicester will probably have a really good second half of the season under Claude Puel. And I really hope they do. I hope that Iheanacho gets into the team.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem, is, like you mentioned briefly there, that I personally think Alexis Sanchez will join Man City in January. And if that happens, there's definitely no room for him. And I also, do you guys think that maybe Pep had his hand burnt a little bit by the Nolito thing, and now he is going for that next level of player? He went for a player that he thought was going to be a good backup option, nice and versatile, but didn't really perform for him.
I thought he was fine. I wouldn't really say that Nolito didn't perform for him. I think he did what he expected. I don't know if Alexis will necessarily go to Man City in January, but I think he will go next summer if he doesn't. And so you want to keep that wage kind of packet available for him. I'm not sure that Mahrez would really improve City's bench. You know, they've got Bernardo Silva there at the moment. So I mean, it's pretty decent as is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think they'll go for him either. I think if he was going to leave Leicester, he'd be far more likely to go abroad.
If Wenger had such a staunch stance on Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil in the summer, when you could have got actual money for them rather than half the fee in January, and actual replacements, then selling them in January, just be cutting off his nose to spite his face, wouldn't he, sort of thing, almost. So I actually don't think Alexis Sanchez is going anywhere either. However, I do hope he stays at Leicester, my hometown club. One love to these Midland boys.
Next question.
Well, this one comes from Richard Wright, probably not the goalkeeper, and he asks, what are your thoughts on Chris Coleman as the Sunderland manager?
Don't care.
Well, let's move on from this quickly.
Let's keep this.
Got to respect all the questions.
Okay. I think it's a pretty uninspiring choice. I really am not that impressed by Chris Coleman. Okay, he did a great job with Wales, but his previous club work, which is really what we should judge him on here, because it's a completely different thing to international work, was not great. Okay, he had a top half finish when he first took over management with Fulham, but that was a team containing the likes of Edwin van der Sar, with Louis Saha, I think Louis Boamorte in it, Steve Malbronk maybe in there. So a fantastic Fulham team. From then on in, has he really done much at club level? I think he went to Sociedad, didn't he?
Yeah, when they're in the Segunda division.
Yeah, I think they finished about 5th in the Segunda division. He then went to Coventry City. Coventry finished 19th. That was their lowest finish in 45 years. And Chris Coleman. And then he ended up in Greece before the Wales job, didn't he, Hamster?
Yeah, with not
AEL? AEL,
I believe
not
it was.
AEK,
I think he only lasted about 12 games there. But I mean, listen, he went to Real Sociedad. We can't criticise British managers for not trying their hand abroad.
No, definitely not.
So he's gone there, he's done an okay job. I'm not sure if they're expecting to go up that season. I don't know the context of that situation, but yeah, they finished 5th. I think he only managed it for 20 games as well. Coventry, look what's happened to Coventry after Chris Coleman. They once were quite, respectable club, but never, moving on from Championship level in the current climate. I mean, Mark Hughes might be a good sort of example to follow here if you're Chris Coleman. He took over Wales, he did a fine job there, and he's gone on to have a decent managerial career at club level. No doubt he improved as a result of his experience in Wales, so hopefully that'll be the same for Chris Coleman moving forward to Sunderland. Listen, they're a big local club, they've got great fans, they deserve much more than the dross they've had to witness over the last 5 years. So, David Moyes obviously wasn't the problem. Simon Grayson, not necessarily the problem. Had an uninspiring start to the season though, didn't he? They spent no money in the summer. The squad is rotting from the inside out and the boardroom needs sorting out, Van Straten. What else can you say?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree that Coleman was an uninspiring choice if I thought any manager would want to go to Sunderland right now. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Like, it's an absolute disaster.
And he's got a lot of enemies.
The squad's, seriously. The squad's a nightmare. Like, they're huge wages being committed to mediocre players. Like, the board are all over the place. Like, I think that club, I completely agree that the fans deserve better, but the hierarchy at the club and the owners certainly don't. Like, I mean, from that point of view, if Coleman may well be the best manager they can get, and fair enough, like, I certainly don't think he's a bad manager, but I agree with you from the point of view, like, his club work, perhaps not the best precedent here. And I still think I want clubs like this to be more ambitious. I want them to look abroad. I want them to find young coaches who are actually outstanding rather than just finding someone who has done a decent job and speaks English.
There we have it. Next question.
Yeah, don't forget the description. The link is in the description to use our syndicate. And the next question is from Khaled, who says...
DJ Khaled.
Yeah, Khalid J. Why does the media always talk about a power shift in North London? They have finished above Arsenal once and not won the trophy in a decade.
Oh,
Go on then,
Pato,
previous.
go on, mate. You're the resident gooner.
They talk about it because it's an interesting narrative. Well, it's not an interesting narrative. They talk about it because it's an easy narrative.
But it's feasible for the first time in years right now, right? So it is more interesting than it has been.
Yeah, but I mean, it can switch back so quickly. I mean, in this situation, like, I'm just perfectly happy to admit Spurs are a better side than us right now. And also, I think Spurs have ambitions beyond North London. Like, certainly they should do. Like, they're a team who are doing very well in the Champions League this year, and there's no clear front runner for the Champions League. They can beat anybody over 2 legs, so I'd be quite excited from that point of view. I think they're clearly the second or third best team in the Premier League, vying with Man United for that spot. I think that their ambition should go beyond being better than Arsenal. They should go to being the best team in the country and one of the best in Europe. And actually, looking at this squad, looking at their manager, I don't see why they can't do that. If they get that new stadium and they can transition into it, then Spurs' future looks really, really bright. Arsenal don't need to care about Spurs either. They should focus on themselves. There are enough problems at that club. Need to deal with the squad, replace Sanchez and Ozil, think about what they're going to do when Wenger leaves, which, by the way, I think is going to happen at the end of the season.
Insight.
And they should just stop worrying about Spurs so much. It's a bit pathetic, really, like constantly going on about it. Arsenal don't get to compete with Spurs right now. They get to compete for 5th.
There we have it. No point me and Chris even speaking, is there? No point at all. Next question.
Well, this one comes from Liam Stewart, and Chris, I think it's directed at you. He asked, if Celtic go another season undefeated domestically, what's next for the squad and Rodgers? Should he be given another shot in the Premier League or further abroad? And should bigger teams be looking at the likes of Tierney and others players this January?
Okay.
That's a great question,
It's difficult to stay at the top, isn't it?
I mean, I think it's well documented that a lot of top clubs, I won't put my foot on the table, in for Kieran Tierney. He's been scouted at several Champions League games, and he's probably the best young talent we've produced, certainly in my lifetime. He's already captained club and country at the tender age of 20. I think he'll probably be with us for another year, 2 years, and maybe that's only by virtue of being a fan, to be honest. I don't think Brendan Rodgers necessarily has to earn another shot at the Premier League as well. He did a great job at Swansea, and he took Liverpool very close to within touching distance of the title. Yes, he did have a world-class player in Luis Suarez, which people seem to use as a means of criticism, as a means to doubt his ability to put out a team. But he also brought in Coutinho, he also brought on Raheem Sterling, he also brought in Daniel Sturridge to the club. Did have a few transfer nightmares, but so was every other big manager. And he did come up with solutions. I mean, one of the criticisms of him was that he didn't have a plan B, and he did come up with other solutions when Liverpool sort of had their backs against the walls. But I think his record in comparison to Jurgen Klopp sort of speaks for itself, although that is quite a boring narrative because it's hard to take in context into consideration when you're comparing win percentages of Rafa, of Brendan, of Jurgen Klopp. But I think we'll be very fortunate to keep him for another season, especially if we go unbeaten, which I can see happening at this point, even though we're only beating teams narrowly at this point on the back of Champions League games. But I think he's a tremendous manager. A lot of people have touted him. A lot of people have said Arsenal could do a lot worse than Brendan Rodgers. I've not asked your opinion on that at current, but I might as well do it now. What do you think? If you ended up with Brendan Rodgers after another sterling year in which you progressed Celtic in Europe as well, would you see that as a lack of ambition, or?
I don't think it'd be a great appointment. I think it'd be fine. I'm not sure that he'd be an improvement on Wenger really. Like I do think he's a good manager. I really do rate him, but I think that there's probably better out there to be had. Like, I think Arsenal could probably aim a little bit higher. That said, I think he will go to another big club at some point and probably be a success. Like, in fact, it might benefit him if he doesn't just have one really, really good player. He might be better off if he's just got an all-round decent squad, because he's good at putting in a pressing system, and actually he was arguably one of the kind of fathers of pressing in the Premier League. Like, he was doing it, 4 or 5 years ago. That was before Pochettino, really. That was before certainly Guardiola. So I don't know. Like, I think he definitely deserves another shot at a bigger club. But Celtic are a big club, and maybe he's happy.
Yeah, he's signed a new contract recently, and more importantly, he's appealing to young players, which is fantastic for Celtic. It meant that Moussa Dembele came to the club instead of going to another club abroad. And obviously the job he's done with Raheem Sterling gives him a little bit of credit in that area as well. So I think young players want to work with him, and that might benefit a club just outside of that top bracket, but I think he could probably work his way back up to that level, yeah.
Yeah, there we have it. Next question then, guys.
Next question comes from Josh Levy. He says, what do you make of the amazing Sevilla manager story?
It is an incredible story. If you haven't heard about it, effectively the Sevilla manager was sadly diagnosed with prostate cancer, I believe. And obviously last night they galvanised behind him, came back from 3-0 down and drew 3-3, which is an incredible achievement for Sevilla. But it's a brilliant story. It is a brilliant story. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, you can't say much more than that, really. It's quite emotional for him in the stadium, obviously, and rightly so. There's stories that he told them at half time, and maybe that's because he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be managing them before he has to have treatment and so on and so forth. But it's quite hard to speculate unless you're inside the club, isn't it? And Sevilla are quite a insular club. They're quite a local club. So. Yeah, just good luck to him and a speedy recovery sort of thing.
Yeah, so I suppose more interesting then. Sevilla at the weekend have Villarreal. Pato, what do you think? What do you think about that one? We've gone for a Sevilla win on the Syndicate.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. They've got a bit more talent. Villarreal are always a bit tough, but you know this team, they want to play for their manager anyway, and I think they've been a little bit unlucky so far this season when you look at their results. So I imagine that should be. Maybe a close one, but I think on the balance of play, Sevilla will deserve it, maybe 2-1.
Yeah, we've gone for the Sevilla win. If you agree with us, hit the link in the description below. Like I said before, you can win a share of £800,000 from as little as 20 pence. Hit that link. Let's get to the next question, though.
This one comes from Amshu, and he asks, should Eden Hazard leave Chelsea to give himself a better chance at winning the Ballon d'Or?
It's a tired rhetoric for me. I think if you're good enough to win it, you can win it at any club in the world. And I think that Eden Hazard right now is not quite good enough to win it. That's my personal opinion.
He's not even the best player in the Prem.
I mean, I'm not sure if he has the mentality to win it. You often hear him in interviews saying he doesn't believe he'll play for much longer past the age of 31, 32. Imagine Ronaldo saying that, age 26, 27. It's almost unthinkable. I think he's very happy to be an extremely naturally gifted player, and very happy to be where he is and play at the level he's playing at. But I don't think he's got that. I don't know personally. This is obviously a organ gesture, but I don't know if he has that obsessiveness to win one at the minute, especially with a company that is keeping in that top bracket of world players, which is definitely in on his day. Yeah.
Better?
I mean, maybe those comments kind of cut the opposite way. Maybe his point is, I don't think I'll be able to give that much more beyond 31, 32 because I work so hard now, to be at the top level. Like, I really don't know much about what he's like off the field. Yeah, like I say, I think he has to be the best player in the Prem before he has a shot at the Ballon d'Or. I don't think he'll ever win the Ballon d'Or, but I don't think he should really care. He's a really, really good player. He's won a couple of titles. Like, that's probably enough. I think he should leave just so we don't have to deal with this question about whether he's going to leave anymore.
Yeah, there's plenty of good players that have never won the Ballon d'Or, and I think Eden will join that list.
Yeah,
but let's get the next question.
Next question is from Julian. He says, could Manchester City do the treble? And if you don't think they can, who do you think is going to win the FA Cup, the Premier League and the Champions League? So 3 predictions from all of you.
Yeah, they could.
I definitely think they really could. I'm nervous about them winning it. That's the biggest compliment I think I can give to them.
What, the treble?
Yeah. I think listen, the treble it's so much harder than anyone can ever imagine, competing on that many fronts for that longer period. One thing that will hold Man City back come March to May, when it really gets to crunch time, is that defence. Is that defence seriously deep enough to still be playing on 3 fronts come the end of the season? I personally think that Pep will go out in January and try and buy a centre-back for that specific reason, because at the moment, I think the defence, the depth behind Vincent Kompany, John Stones and Otamendi, because he plays that back 3, isn't enough, and that's the reason they won't. But they could if they sign the right man in January.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of your point depends on whether Kompany can stay fit or not.
Yeah.
Right? Because Mangala is not a bad backup option. He was fine at Valencia last season, and he obviously came with a bit of pedigree before arriving for big money from Porto, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
Porto. So yeah, if Company, if he gets injured and then John Stones has like recurring injuries, then sure, but that you could apply that rule to every top club.
But only one backup centre half for a back three.
Name me who's got the deepest defence in the top 4 in the Premier League then?
I think you could probably say Chelsea are pretty deep.
Chelsea
I mean, Zappa Costa's playing. I don't.
Arsenal quite
Yeah,
deep actually.
Spurs
have
Man
got
United
some
have got a lot of central defenders.
Mm-hmm. More so than Manchester City. Any more convincingly?
Spurs have got the best defence in the Premier League at the moment, like statistically.
But they struggled with that Alderweireld against Arsenal, didn't they?
No, sorry. City do. City do. Like City, they are comfortably top of every metric in the Premier League, like, and historically top of them as well. Like City are the best team in Europe right now, comfortably again. City, I don't know if they'll win the FA Cup because I don't think they'll prioritise it, but I think they should consider themselves to have underachieved if they don't win the league and at least make the Champions League final. I think at this point you have to consider them favourites for the Champions League as well. Now that doesn't mean they're going to win it because the Champions League's really hard, and anything can go wrong over 2 legs. But they are the best team in Europe. There's no getting around.
And after the money they spent, Pep will be under no illusions. He will have expectations similar to that, won't he? So
there we have it. We think they're in with a shot.
They deserve to with the football they're playing.
Yeah, 100%. But it's going to be very, very tough.
Napoli home and away. You're a good side.
Yeah. Right. Next question.
Well, first, make sure you check the description below and click on the link to join our syndicate. And here could be something you want to put a bet on. This one comes from Ahad. If you were to fight someone in a boxing match at the office, who would you fight and why?
Great question.
I would love to knock you out.
Yeah, I'd love to knock you out as well.
That'd be really fun.
But if I was to fight someone, purely because I think I would win, is against George. I think you could put a leaf in the ring against George.
No, I reckon George has got like maniacs.
No way.
He's a street fighter.
Yeah,
he's a scratcher, a gouger.
George is like the end of the grey where he's like super gluing broken bottles to his hands.
No, I'm not having it.
He's got Hounslow knowledge. Walthamstow
we've
knowledge.
We've all played football against George Wright, and if you go into a tackle against him, he floats off.
I've seen him body a couple of people off the ball. Present company not excluded.
Mate, it'd be like punching a handful of plasticine. The guy's got no bones. He's just all skin. There's no beating him. He's like flubber.
Who would I like to fight? God, it's such a tough question, isn't it?
You are an angry man.
I'd maybe have a good go at Adam Templeman, I think. Very slow around the ring. That's what I was thinking. Maybe just hit him and then dart round the back and then hit him in the back of the head before he's turned around.
He hasn't really done anything.
It'd be like a drunk bear, just like...
I mean, it'd be very funny to fight John Babb.
All it would take is one punch, that's what I'm saying.
Oh!
I think John Babb would react hilariously to being hit in the face.
He'd
be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like he'd get so cross. If you punched him in the face, he'd be livid. And also, in the little shorts with no shirt on, he'd still wear his hoodie because otherwise he'd be uncomfortable. I think that'd be really.
And he doesn't wear shorts either, so he'd probably be wearing jeans.
Actually, I'd love to fight John Babb. It would be amazing. He'd wear like goggles over his glasses. It'd be incredible.
Let's make it happen.
Well,
there we go.
I'm waiting for you,
John Babb.
Coming to you, 2018 on the Football Daily exclusive. Right, let's get the next question. Come on.
Okay, let's get more serious, shall we? Gunner77 wants to know Burnley versus Arsenal. What are your score predictions for that game?
Ooh.
I mean, Burnley will probably have 2 shots on goal, concede 23, which are their actual averages this season, and edge it 1-0. But no, of course, I'm going for an Arsenal victory in this, as any other sensible football fan would, especially now the wind is in your sails after that stoic performance against Tottenham. And you're hoping that Alexis Sanchez, after he's now scored his 2nd goal with his 32nd shot, can put some more goals away.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal's attack looks really, really good right now, and Burnley's defence is always kind of doing witchcraft, somehow. So, I don't know. I mean, my fear is that it'll be like 1-1 or something. But last season, Arsenal got 2 exceptionally scrappy 2-1 victories, I think. Oh, no, one was 1-0 and one was 2-1.
They were dreadful games as well.
They were some of the worst football I've ever seen, but we were a lot worse last season than we are this season.
You've won both of the last 2 fixtures at Burnley's ground 1-0. I kind of agree. I think that's going to be a similar story this season. I think Lacazette just have enough to get you over the line. I think Arsenal will win this game, but it will be tough.
Lacazette's been so good.
Did Walcott score one of those goals? At least he's got more guile than you've got a lot more guile than you had last season, haven't you? You've got Lacazette can work a bit of space behind the defence. Like Burnley sit deep though, don't they? Like they sit deep and pump balls long, even longer. What's another word for long?
Extra long.
Extra long. But things are getting weird now.
Yeah,
but I think you've got enough quality to clinch it fairly easily, haven't you? So.
Yeah, we're all going to go then for an Arsenal win. That's what we've put in the syndicate as well. If you agree with us, £800,000 on the line. Click the link in the description. Let's get to the next question.
This next one comes from James McTeague, and he asks, what was the point of West Brom sacking Tony Pulis when they want to bring in someone like Big Sam, who's essentially the same person?
Go on then, mate.
I don't think he is the same person. I think Sam Allardyce may be a little bit underrated as a tactical manager. I don't want to put my neck out and say he's Pep Guardiola, but I think he's got a little bit more about him than Tony Pulis, maybe tactically. But I personally think that West Brom won't look at Allardyce. I think they're going to go for Alan Pardew, which is maybe even a riskier appointment.
Yeah.
But what tends to happen when Pardew takes over a team is you have a 12 to 18 month bounce where you just seem to be able to pull results out of nothing. And
Sure, there's got to be more of a science behind it than that, though. Just
maybe. But when he takes over a team, they seem to start very well and then fade. He's done it at the last two jobs, isn't he? Newcastle and Crystal Palace. And I think West Brom would be perfectly happy with that in this situation. I think West Brom's sole focus will be staying in the Premier League, and I think both Pardew and Allardyce will be able to deliver that. So, not too bad choices.
I mean, Pulis was in horrible form. One win from the last 14 games, but what are West Brom's aims?
Yes.
They were the highest placed Midlands team in the Premier League last year when they came 10th. I think they were unfortunate in a couple of games at the end of the season as well. I think there was a swing of games where they went against them, and I think they actually could have finished 8th or 9th, which is incredibly good for a team of West Brom standing. I don't know what else they want to achieve. Pulis, he's spent okay there, hasn't he? He's put out a good defence. I mean, they started the season relatively well, didn't they?
Yeah.
But it's just all gone Pete Tong.
Yeah, I mean, the signings in the summer weren't the best either. Jay Rodriguez
He had to
was
shop
a risk.
around a little bit, didn't he? Jay Rodriguez, Higazi, I mean, he got, 8 or 9 goals a season out of Rondon. He cost a little bit of money there, didn't he? But
I think it only makes sense getting Allardyce in if you get him in just for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think the sensible thing, if they think that everybody's quit on Pulis, then it makes sense to get rid of him, because that genuinely does happen. We see that happen.
Yeah.
And it makes sense then to get Allardyce in because of the makeup of the squad. The squad is such a Pulis squad. There are very few guys who could get something out of it, and I think Allardyce is one of them. If you get him in for the rest of the season, you can do some actual research, get somebody in for the summer, and think about how you're going to reshape the squad, because you don't want to be trying to reshape it in January. It makes far more sense to just get somebody who's going to keep you up, and then they should be looking at teams like Southampton and actually Leicester's appointment of Claude Puel as examples of what they could be doing. They should look abroad, find somebody a bit more ambitious, and invest heavily to change their squad into something that could play, I don't know, something resembling football instead of Pulis ball.
So there we have it. We've got 10 minutes or just over 10 minutes left, so smash your questions in below and smash the link in the description too. Let's go back to Social Corner and then get the last few questions.
Next question comes from JJHFFGH. It's not a name. Try and pronounce that.
He's head on keyboard.
What is your biggest football what-if moment? So, for example, mine is if Arsenal won the Champions League against Barcelona. What would have happened? What's yours?
It's a tough question. It's a real out there question. Hamster, you've got an answer?
oh wow, you've really dobbed me in it there. I mean, I find myself, asking the same old boring question that most Celtic fans ask themselves on lonely, weeknights. What if Celtic were in the Premier League?
Ooh.
I genuinely think with a manager, we would have struggled big time under Ronnie Dyler, no doubt about it. He Aberdeen ran as a very close, a very good second place team when he was there. I think with a manager of his calibre and the resources that would be available, I think we'd finish sort of mid-table at the moment.
Yeah?
Got to say.
I think my biggest what if is, what if Pep had taken over post Ferguson?
What, when Fergie tried to tap him up in New York?
When Ferguson tried to tap him up and failed, didn't quite happen. We ended up with David Moyes. What would Man United be like now? I think we'd be absolutely flying under Pep Guardiola, but not to be, and he's in the blue half of the country.
Go on then, mate. What about you?
God, I don't know. I mean, it's nice to speculate on like what if Man United had not come back and beaten Bayern Munich in the Champions League back in '99 or whatever. That would have been amazing. Just because I hate Man United so much. Yeah, I don't know. Arsenal winning the Champions League would have been good. Arsenal getting Messi in when they got Fabregas in, which was kind of they were trying to do that. That would have been quite interesting as well. But I don't know. Maybe if Johan Cruyff had gone to World Cup '78 and it hadn't been rigged, which it was, like then that would have been quite interesting.
Argentina.
Yeah, I would have just liked the Netherlands to have won a World Cup because I don't think it's going to happen again.
There we have it. Next question then.
Well, first, my what if. What if Algeria beat Germany in 2014 World Cup? What if we would have won it? But anyway, your question
Idiot.
comes from Chucky, and he asked, what did you guys do before you got into YouTube?
Oh, goodness. The personal questions are flying.
Taking me off guard here.
I know. I was at university studying journalism. So that's what I was doing
Journalism.
pre-Football Daily life. What you?
You just frog spawn, right?
Yeah, I wasn't just doing much. I was basically even more translucent than I am now.
Go on, you go next, mate.
I worked in the film industry. Like, I basically was like working in what's called development for film. So that's basically everything between the script coming in and it going into production. So I would read scripts, like basically figure out what we wanted to make. Then I'd help like find actors, directors, like basically cast and crew, and get it ready for production, find funding and things like that as well. Because I always wanted to work in film, and now I'm stuck here with these bellends.
Yes. What about you, Hamster?
Doesn't matter, does it? We all ended up in the same place. I worked in advertising for a bit. I used to write copy for such high-end brands as Netto. So like, you know, there's like cheap magazines that have like offers on food. I listened to you. Now you're just being impolite.
Yeah,
Let's go over to the
rude.
next question.
Sorry,
He's trying to be fun.
Let's get the football questions. Let's get back to the football questions.
Shocking.
All right. What do you make of Eddie Howe's Bournemouth at the moment? They had a big win at the weekend. Can they keep that up?
Oh, now the win at the weekend though, Hamster, you're a bit suspect about. It wasn't actually as good as it looked on paper.
Don't try and talk to me now.
Sorry, mate.
I'm still reeling from the.
I'm
I thought they were a little bit unfortunate to lose 4-0 Huddersfield. I think expected goals had it at like 1 to 0.9. However,
They were up a man for half of the game.
yeah, after was it Simon Francis, did he get sent off on the cusp of half time or something? But I was delighted for Callum Wilson, who scored a hat-trick because he's come back from not one ACL injury but two. And I just feel, I don't know, I don't have much to say about Bournemouth. Hopefully, you know, Wilson will continue to start. He looks like a much more dangerous prospect than Jermaine Defoe, who's kind of fallen off completely this season. And I like Josh King.
Who could have predicted that?
I like, you know, what else is to say about Bournemouth at the moment?
Exactly.
What was the question about Eddie Howe?
What do you think of him?
Oh, he's all right. You?
No, it's nothing special. Like they're fine. Like I like Callum Wilson. They've got some good talent at that club, but they basically are naive. I think they'll get relegated in a couple of seasons. I don't want them to, but I don't really care.
Yeah, their recruitment maybe leaving a little bit to be desired. We all kind of agreed that Jermaine Defoe is one of the worst transfers of the season in the summer. So maybe they might look to move him on, but it is Bournemouth away at Swansea this weekend. We've got them in the Syndicate. We've got it as a Bournemouth away victory at the Swans, which is a tough call. It is a risk.
Brave.
I'll be honest. Swansea haven't been great though, so hopefully you agree with us, because if you do, you can win £800,000, or at least a share of that £800,000 by clicking the link in the description below. Last 7 minutes then, let's get the last 7 questions.
Well, it's quick fire time, and this one comes from James Davis, and he asks, can the United States win the World Cup before England? #fans hour.
Well, at the moment, they're not in it. So England stand a better chance than the USA do. But they are developing some decent players. Pulisic at least, but they're a long way off.
England have got a really good shot at the World Cup next year.
What?
You do.
No.
Look, if you look at the improvements that, you know, Kane, Dyer, Sterling, Ali have made. When you look at the fact that John Stones has massively stepped up. When you look at those fullbacks. Harry Winks appearing, which is actually a really important kind of player for England to have. Lallana coming back to fitness. That's a really exciting, really well-balanced team. Like, look, there are other teams with better coaches. There are other teams with better talent. But ultimately, if England have a plan and get their best players on the pitch, there's not an international team in the world which is that far ahead of them. They were able to hold Germany to a draw, perhaps a little bit lucky, with a really workmanlike midfield. And whilst I don't think Southgate's good, I like the fact that he's willing to look at players who are not that glamorous, who will do a job he needs them to do. That's actually something that England have gone without for a long time. They've just tried to fit everyone in. So I don't know. To be honest, the USA probably will win it before England, though, just because England will never get their act together for a big tournament.
Hamster?
I don't think they will, no. I think England are pretty uninspiring at the moment as well. Yeah. Look, Gareth Southgate, I'm still not sure on him. He was brought in to provide more of a natural pathway for talented youngsters to get into the England setup, and we've had victorious under-17 side, under-19 side, under-20 side, and in games against Germany and Brazil we've played the likes of Jake Livermore, and apparently Jack Cork has been on the cusp of getting called up. Was he in the squad? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
So I think for me, jury's still out, but I do agree with Pato in that we have a very talented first XI at the very least, and Pochettino and Guardiola are largely to thank for that.
There we have it. 5 minutes left then. Last 5 questions. Keep your questions coming. Next one.
That was very slow quickfire, by the way, guys.
Sorry.
Griezmann or Ozil for Barcelona? What are we saying?
Griezmann for Man United, Ozil for Barcelona.
Yeah, 100% agreed.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Go on
This
then,
one,
next question.
Zachy Bacon. Who is currently too good for their current club?
These questions always annoy me. Too good for their current club is a tough one. I will go
Scott
for...
Brown.
Not a player, a manager, Marco Silva.
Too good for their current club. Christ almighty. Who's at Everton at the minute? Idrissa Gueye.
Ooh. Pato.
Oh, God. Richarlison.
Oh, he's going to get a big move soon though anyway. So next question.
Best moustache in football?
Daily.
Roque Mesa.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a Roque Mesa look. There's been a few comments on today's stream saying you look a bit like Roque Mesa.
You are growing yours. Has anyone noticed?
It's really hard to see, guys. I promise you that there is some hair there, isn't there?
We need like a smash zoom on that bad boy.
It kind of looks like an old, one of old relatives you've got, and you just think you see hair just popping from
when
their
your grandma
face.
needs a shave.
Yeah,
that's
and you're
that's
like,
what you've got.
You're kind of looking at her and going, probably you need. I don't want to say anything, but you need a shave. That's kind of my facial hair situation. It is pathetic, I'm well aware. Best moustache at Football Daily, by the way, Dave Jackson is growing tremendously.
It's come on at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's
Very
like a World War I part.
Very bushy.
But we're giving our football one to Roque Mesa, so next question.
If you were in Dybala's shoes, what would you do? Move to Barcelona?
I'd stay at Juventus for as long as possible, I think.
Yeah, he's been touted as their sort of long-term solution for a number 9 when Higuain leaves, and I think his form at the start of the season has demonstrated that he can score 20 to 25 goals in a season, not just be like a defensive forward or a workman-like sort of number 10. I think he could become a sort of Del Piero-like figure, but I wouldn't like him to move. I'd like him to stay in Italian football.
Yeah. Stay at Juventus, Paolo. Stay there. Next question.
Ian wants to know, what is up with Renato Sanchez? Is his future still bright or not? What is going on?
He's still incredibly young. Like, he's so young. We've seen this happen before where players have a step back and then a step forward. I mean, the simple answer is it's too early to say. I think he's definitely got some talent. Like, he's going to be a useful player for somebody if he can stay fit. But I'm not sure that is going to be a Paul Clement team. I'm not sure he's particularly well suited to them. I reckon that if he was currently playing at, say, under a coach like, say, Jurgen Klopp or a Leonardo Jardim, I think that we'd have a completely different perception of how talented he is.
Yeah, 100%. Right, let's the next question.
Marek has this next one. Should Zlatan be in the Sweden squad for the World Cup?
It's a difficult one because he's like officially retired, and it would be extreme. I feel like it would almost be extremely selfish for him to come out of retirement and disrupt such a team unit that's got there. And also, it'd be at the detriment to, I forget the striker's name.
Berg?
Yeah, put 8 in qualifying, didn't
he did score 4 against Luxembourg, didn't he? So.
Oh, right, a little bit harsh, but I would stay retired if I was Zlatan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have much to win by coming back. Like he gets to go to a World Cup, but then they'll just get knocked out of the group stages.
Yeah, I agree. Right, we've got 45 seconds left until 6 p.m, so let's get the last question.
Sheree says, which footballer would you most like to interview?
For me, Paul Scholes, childhood hero.
Henrik Larsson.
None of them. I'm not interested in anything there. So.
Oh, there we have it. But that's all the time we've got for today. Like I said, make sure you join our Colossus Bet Syndicate. You can click the link in the description below for the chance to win a share of £800,000 for as little as 20 pence. Check out colossusbets.com as well. They've got loads of other ones up there. And follow Colossus Bets on Twitter. They are tweeting out all of the good information you need. Any of the links that I've said during this video will be in the description below. Thanks to Christopher and Patrick for joining me. For you guys for watching at home, Colossus Bets for getting involved as well. And we'll catch you later.